Hello Africa, it's a brand new week of Bottomline Africa from right here at the heart of Kenya and Nairobi, which is tonight reeling from a petition filed by two people seeking secession, even as uncertainty remains about the repeat presidential election on October 17th. Also, one of the largest supermarket chains in the region, Nakumatt, finds a partner in an effort to remain afloat. Down south, Zimbabweans are worried about the health of the opposition leader, Morgan Tsvangirai, who has been taken ill. Talk of opposition, I have a qualified team of discussants tonight to help us look at the role of the opposition in democracy. Barak Muluka is a publishing editor and commentator on global affairs. Dennis Nthumbi is a political commentator as well as a security expert. And Calvin Sowidi, a NASA strategist as well as a political commentator. I'm going to engage them shortly. My name is Yusuf Ibrahim. And of course, if you're just joining us, this is Bottomline Africa. And the program begins right now. But first things first, let's try and look at Africa in 60 seconds. Congolese authorities begin investigations into the killing of 300 Burundi nationals at a refugee camp. Zimbabwe's opposition are trying to calm their supporters as their leader is flown out of the country for urgent medical attention. A wave is sweeping across Western Central Africa over the continued use of currency rooted in French colonialism. And tonight we'll discuss the place of the opposition in strengthening democracy in Africa. Welcome once again. This is Bottomline Africa. Let's go straight to our Twitter poll question tonight, and we are asking you, has the opposition in Africa lived up to its expectation of counter-checking government? Has the opposition in Africa lived up to its expectation of counter-checking governments? That is a question that is going to form the basis of our discussion tonight. You know the drill. Our Twitter handle is at KTN News. You can as well tweet me at Yusuf Ibrahim, and always remember to use the hashtag Bottomline Africa. I'm going to go through some of your feedback within this program. But first, we want to begin with news out of Kenya, where two people have filed a High Court petition calling for the autonomy of Western Kenya. The two men, Matthew Kwanda Mwilisa and Alex Misigo, are calling for a referendum on the political future of what was formerly the eastern province of Uganda. The petitioners say a referendum will allow people to exercise their right to determination in terms of their rights to nationality, territorial integrity, economic, social and culture as a people. The two men have sued the governments of Uganda, Kenya and the UK, whom they have blamed for failing to resolve the issue and fast granting independence. The petition has been filed at a time when uncertainty continues to loom over the repeat of the presidential elections in Kenya slated for the 17th of October. Now, the Democratic Republic of Congo says it has opened an inquiry after soldiers fired on Burundian refugees in the eastern South Kivu province, killing dozens. Now, government spokesman Lambert Mende also claimed that many of those killed during the clashes were members of an armed group without providing details. At least 30 Burundian refugees were killed in clashes with Congolese security forces over plans to send some of them home. Police and soldiers are said to have opened fire as the refugees protested over the plan in the town of Kamanyola in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo on Friday. More than 400,000 refugees have fled Burundi, including 40,000 to neighboring Congo, since violence erupted in April 2015, when President Pierre Nkurunziza said he will seek a third term in office. The violence in Burundi has killed over 700 people, and a UN commission said last week there were reasonable grounds to believe authorities had committed crimes against humanity. The government rejected the commission's findings as propaganda. Zimbabwe, the country's opposition was thrown into a panic over the weekend following reports that its leader, Morgan Tsvangirai, was battling for his life. Movement for Democratic Change, MDC, now says Tsvangirai is out of danger and is resting. The 65-year-old presidential hopeful was urgently flown to South Africa on Friday night after his health condition deteriorated. Tsvangirai had been addressing a party meeting in Kodama when he allegedly started experiencing severe vomiting, prompting his doctor to have him transferred to South Africa. The MDC says its leader has brushed aside his health scare to encourage Zimbabweans to register to vote in the coming elections. This after widespread media reports that he was on a life support fighting for his life.
I, Morgan Richard Tsvangirai, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Zimbabwe and observe the laws of Zimbabwe. So help me God.
Now, a Nigerian lawyer who helped secure the release of more than 100 schoolgirls kidnapped by Boko Haram was on Monday, awarded one of the United Nations top prizes. The UNHCR said Zana Mustafa was given the annual Mansen Award for his crucial mediating role as well as his work helping children affected by the long-running conflict. Last year's recipients of the award were more than 2,000 volunteers who saved the lives of thousands of migrants trying to cross the Mediterranean to Europe. Mustafa, who is in his late 50s, said the award was unexpected, but he was exceedingly happy to have been chosen. Mustafa set up the Future Prowess Islamic Foundation School 10 years ago.
For a livelihood for the widows they left behind, and by appealing to international development agencies, they now got some food condiments. I only say, when you start a process on such a thing, maybe there are other generations that will carry on along. It's sort of a building block. You don't stop where you don't know where you stop. It is only when you end your own, somebody may build on in and pass. Well, that's my 5 points in life. Because I've never attended, I've just been happy. Because what I take, for example, is that I am from that part of the country. I hail from Maiduguri. I don't have any other land, place, renting, or anywhere in this world apart from the one in Maiduguri. So I feel that place is mine, and I feel it in my marrow. So for any girl who hails from that zone to say has been taken over, I feel as if it is my own biological daughter that is abducted.
And still in West Africa, several hundred demonstrators gathered in several cities across French-speaking Africa at the call of the Pan-Africanist Emergencies Movement to say no to the CFA franc, which they say is preventing development in countries that use the currency, a controversy that is spreading to Senegal and Benin. Now, the CFA franc is used in Western Central Africa, has come under heavy criticism of recent and the emotive debate around the continued use of CFA franc has once again, of course, resurfaced in some countries in West and Central Africa, with some experts arguing that the region has outgrown the currency. Last week, a popular Franco-Beninese activist was arrested and charged with banning a 5,000 CFA franc note in protest against its continued use in the region. Kemi Seba, who has since been acquitted by a Senegalese court, was arrested following an application by the Central Bank of West Africa States to have him arrested.
Demand to leave the neo-colonial CFA franc. The detail is important because at the end of the day, for me, the name does not matter. It doesn't matter to me if we have currency called the CFA franc. The essential thing is that this currency, regardless of its denomination, be either a sovereign currency or a currency whose monetary policy is defined by and for Africans.
Défini par et pour les Africains. Estimons que ce franc CFA-là ne nous permet pas.
We believe that this CFA franc does not allow us to develop economically because the CFA franc, as it is now structured, prevents small and medium-sized enterprises from having enough credit to enable them to be viable, but also to create jobs. My daughter is Franco-Senegalese, which doesn't mean anything to her, and I hope she will be able to live in two sovereign countries, that's France and Senegal, in future. To have sovereignty sovereignty, you must have control over your currency. I think that the fight against the CFA franc is a legitimate struggle and something very important for the development of Senegal and West Africa in general, for the sovereignty of the nation and the people to decide for themselves and decide their destiny. My brother Kimiseba, who had banned a 5,000 CFA bill, he had problems. I said, 5,000 bill. I am a worker. I work hard. I work with the sweat of my brows. I got my money and I do what I want with it. If I want to, I will eat it, pass it through my esophagus, enter my intestines and go out, you know where. And it's going to go directly into the septic tank because I think that's where the CFA franc belongs.
Now, in Uganda, some 14 youth activists have been arrested in the capital, Kampala, while campaigning against the proposed scrapping of presidential age limit that will allow President Yoweri Museveni to contest in the next elections. Now, the police bundled the activists into a truck and sent them to the central police station, where they were detained. The police did not say the reason they arrested the activists, who were dressed in all white, sharing flyers against the proposed constitutional amendment. This is not the first time campaigners against the amendment have been arrested. In July, some youth opposition groups launched a similar campaign and were arrested in the process for unlawful assembly. In 2005, a constitutional amendment was made removing the two-term limit for the presidency to allow Museveni to contest for elections. The age limit for a candidate to stand for president is currently 75, and President Yoweri Museveni, who is now 73, will be 2 years older than the limit in the 2021 election. Now, Togo's President Faure Gnassingbé has been facing huge protest by opposition parties calling for limits to presidential powers. And Togo's President Faure Gnassingbé has been facing huge protest by opposition parties calling for limits to presidential powers. Now, a parliamentary panel in Togo on Friday approved a controversial bill to revamp the constitution and introduce a presidential term limit after days of protest against the regime of Faure Gnassingbé. The scion of Africa's oldest political dynasty. After a closed-door session, 10 members of the National Assembly's Law Commission approved the government proposed text by a 6-4 vote, but the Commission did not accept any amendments proposed by the opposition parties.
The next step is for the people to protest. When a barrier of a bill comes to the National Assembly, an amendment can't contradict the path the barrier wishes to make. 6 out of 10 have spoken in favor of the bill and the reforms brought by the government. The next step is that a report will be drafted, and from this report, a plenary will be called to vote on the text.
Now, Cameroon has launched its first assembly unit for local transport buses, known as Sotrabus, with 45, 50 and 70 seats. Car manufacturing is almost non-existent in Cameroon and rare elsewhere in Africa, where large numbers of second-hand vehicles are often imported from Europe. Now back to Kenya once again, where thousands of Kenyan sugar stakeholders in the Nakumatt value chain are today breathing a sigh of relief as it emerges that Tuskys supermarkets may indeed be riding to the rescue of the beleaguered retailer. Sources have told KTN News that though complete terms of the takeover are yet to be worked out, Tuskys will get management oversight after conducting due diligence, while Nakumatt will have access to suppliers and goodwill from Tuskys. Suppliers owed billions by Nakumatt are waiting to see if they are set to receive any relief from the deal. The deal is yet to be announced officially. This comes barely a week after Industrialization Cabinet Secretary Adan Mohamed suggested talks were at an advanced stage for a rescue plan for both Nakumatt and Uchumi. Now, Nigeria's mega city of Lagos is becoming an urban canvas for graffiti artists determined to brighten up its grey concrete walls. Take a look.
It's a drizzly weekday morning in Nigeria's megacity Lagos, and Osa 7 is working on his latest fresco. The pioneering graffiti artist has been working on this piece for several days, mixing spray paint with acrylics. It's his mission to bring colour to these concrete walls and encourage other artists to use the city as an urban canvas.
We're just the spearhead of this. The movement is coming, you know. There are a whole lot of other graffiti artists, upcoming guys that, you know, would, you know, create that scene proper. We're just going to spearhead it and do the best that we can to, you know, put Lagos graffiti or Nigerian graffiti on the map.
But Lagos's authorities haven't given graffiti the green light. Instead, they've commissioned well-known street artists to paint in designated areas, forcing unknown artists to find other spots.
There are public places that you have to be careful how you go about it, and there are some parks that it looks interesting when you do your painting there, because people come around to play basketball and football. So I think art is very, very interesting in places like that.
With more exposure to the public, graffiti has gained more acceptance. Teachers at this Lagos school are even encouraging their pupils to become street artists themselves to liven up the walls of their school.
With the schools here especially, a lot of their walls are just blank. They're just plain walls, and we don't think that that is enough inspiration for them. And we found that art is an amazing medium of expression. It gives the kids so much excitement to come to school. It's also, we paint educational stuff, so it's stuff that they can read and it resonates with them and they understand it.
The graffiti scene in Lagos lags far behind global metropolises like New York, but with a little encouragement from the authorities, the megacity hopes to bring a little colour to its otherwise drab facade.
Well, and that report from Nigeria takes us to a very short break. But when we come back, we will be coming back, of course, with that discussion tonight, which has everything to do with the role of opposition in this continent, which is Africa, of course. And we have our panel ready with us. That is Barak Muluka, Kavin Sowedi, as well as Dennis Thombe. We'll be right back. Don't go too far.